So AOC and progressive members of Congress are rebuking the math on Joe Biden's $2,000 checks because he is now claiming that it'll be $1,400 instead of $2,000. So this is based on the idea that the $600 is already passed. So in Biden's mind, it's no longer $2,000 checks, it's $1,400 because I assume that's what he meant at the time. But of course, there's a lot to really debate here. And really even regardless of what he meant at the time, maybe what they should be fighting for. But before I get to any of that, let me first show you what Joe Biden said on January 4th.
And the debate over $2,000 isn't some abstract debate in Washington. It's about real lives, your lives, the lives of good, hardworking Americans. And if you're like millions of Americans all across this country, you need the money, you need the help, and you need it now. Look, Georgia, there's no one in America with more power to make that happen than you, the citizens of Atlanta, the citizens of Georgia. And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally true. If you send John and the Reverend to Washington, those $2,000 checks will go out the door, restoring hope and decency and honor for so many people who are struggling right now. And if you send Senators Perdue and Loeffler back to Washington, those checks will never get there. It's just that simple. The power is literally in your hands.
All right. So there's Joe Biden promising $2,000 checks. It's pretty clear, $2,000. But now you have NBC News reporting here. Biden lays out $1.9 trillion COVID relief package with $1,400 stimulus checks. So no longer $2,000, but $1,400. But again, the argument here from the Joe Biden side of things is that, well, the 600's already passed. So $1,400 makes up the difference, makes it $2,000. Now, before I get to my thoughts on this and some of the back and forth debate, let me show you some of the pushback that Joe Biden is getting. So Cori, Justice Democrat, new to Congress, tweeting out here, $1,400 does not equal $2,000. This was also retweeted by Jamal Bowman. And Ilhan Omar tweeting out here, not directly about what Joe Biden's saying, but clearly I think the message here is clear. $600 wasn't enough. The American people are struggling to make ends meet and need relief. We must immediately pass $2,000 survival checks. So, and one last, of course, AOC here. Jeff Stein tweeting out, AOC says Dems should pass $2,000 on top of the $600 from December rather than add the $1,400 to get $600 to $2K. $2,000 means $2,000. $2,000 does not mean $1,400. All right, so that's the debate right now. Now, as usual, the issue here really is that Democratic leadership is erring on the side of conservative positions, erring on the side of more corporate policy, instead of erring on the side of what is best for the people. So even if you agree with the Joe Biden argument that, well, he always meant $2,000 generally, regardless of how it got there, he meant $2,000. He didn't mean $2,000 on top of $600. Even if you think he meant that, and maybe he did, I have no reason to not believe he meant that. Why not fight for more? Why not err on the side of the people? Why not say, hey, you know what? You're right. $2,000 really isn't enough. From their perspective, might as well add more on top of that to not just make up the difference, but give people more money than they were expecting. So there is no reason here to defend Joe Biden's position. You can say that's what he promised, that's what he's delivering. Even if you believe that, even if you think that, there is no reason to defend him here. Why not fight for more? And that's exactly what these progressive members of Congress are attempting to do here. Now, David Dayen, a reporter here, journalist that I have immense respect for, works for the American Prospect, or I should say writes for the American Prospect, tweets out here, AOC wrote the bill that substituted the $600 in the December bill with $2,000. She did not substitute it with $2,600. Sorry, it's goalpost moving. You can think this. Again, David Dayen, great reporter, a lot of respect. He's been very critical of Joe Biden and his cabinet picks. But why even bother defending Joe Biden here? What's the point? The conversation now has moved. Obviously, everyone should have known at the time that Joe Biden would not be able to pass anything because he's not president when he made that announcement of supporting the $2,000 if you got both Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff in. Everyone knew he couldn't pass that at the time. Then, if that's the case, why didn't Joe Biden say at the time, in addition to the $600, I'm going to pass $1,400? He could have said that, but instead he said $2,000 checks. And to buttress that point here, Claire Sandberg tweets out, Biden is the one who moved the goalpost. In a last-ditch effort to win the Senate, he said that $2,000 checks would go out the door if Warnock and Ossoff won. Warnock posted this realistic image of a $2,000 Treasury check. Want a $2,000 check? And here's an image of a $2,000 check. So they use this as a way to campaign. Here is a $2,000 check. Forget what people already got. Why must you use the $600 as the basis for the discussion here? That's in the past. The $600 is in the past. Now we're looking at the future. In the future should be $2,000. And again, this is the compromise. This is the bare minimum. People should be expecting $2,000 monthly retroactive to the beginning of the pandemic. All they're getting here is a single $2,000 check, or I should say a single $1,400 check in addition to the $600. That's all they're getting. So you're already at the compromise. Why are you compromising even further to a position of $1,400 in what I think is a clear attempt here to try and appeal more to, say, maybe Joe Manchin to support this and other Republicans and really just, again, capitulating to conservative positions as opposed to actually fighting for what the people want. You look at any single poll on these checks, people want money. People need the help. So again, why are you erring on the side of conservative policy as opposed to erring on the side of the people? Last thing here from Common Dreams. It is far from clear how much of Biden's initial offer will become law, given that Democrats will control the Senate by the narrowest possible margin and thus be unable to afford any Democratic defections. Potentially making matters more difficult is Biden's insistence on attaining enough bipartisan support to push the proposal through the Senate with 60 votes. So again, my guess here is his political calculation is he's pushing this 1,400 as a way to try and appeal to Republicans, as opposed to saying, I promised 2,000, regardless of what was already passed, I'm going to say 2,000, I'm pushing for 2,000. Going on here, they say the New York Times reported that the top House Senate Democrats are preparing to pivot quickly to a parliamentary process known as budget reconciliation. If Biden fails to win the support of enough Republican lawmakers, only a simple majority in the Senate is needed to pass bills through the reconciliation process, which Republicans used to ram through their massive tax cuts for the rich in 2017. So even if they don't have the 60 votes for Biden's $1.9 trillion deal here, or bill, they're going to try to use this reconciliation process to actually be able to pass anything with just a simple majority as opposed to needing the 60 votes. So my guess is they're going to need that. You're already seeing people like Joe Manchin, as I mentioned, not wanting to support the $2,000. It's going to be hard to get him on board for anything. So you potentially have some defections here, and people like Josh Hawley, who said he supports the $2,000, and a few others who pushed to support the $2,000 because Trump supported it. So you potentially have some defections anyways. You may not need that 60 votes if they go through the reconciliation process. So regardless, I mean, even separate from, the money, the $2,000 should be a separate thing passed, a separate bill, separate from everything else, because you're going to have, because this is going to be a massive piece of legislation with all these different moving parts. It's a lot easier to just pass something separate that is just the $2,000 or $1,400, whatever the hell it is, and then deal with everything else later. So we're going to see how this all goes. My guess is they're going to have to use the reconciliation process, and that Biden's not going to make the $2,000 a separate bill, even though he should. And it's not going to be $2,000. It's going to be $1,400. But at the very least, there are people here trying to call out Joe Biden. And his obvious weakness already when it comes to giving in to conservative positions.